Hello and welcome everyone to this very powerful last week of March. We got a lot going on and we're going to talk about it. So we're looking at, in this Numerology Quick Takes, the week of March 24th. And this will take us from March 24th, Monday, March 24th, through Sunday, March 30th. This forecast will. We have a lot going on this week. Oh my gosh. And I anticipate that we will see a lot of confusion this week, a lot of mixed messaging, a lot of potential acts of manipulation, just really a lot of chaos and a lot of trying to pull the wool over the eyes type of energy. However, we have some really strong, heavy-hitting energy that is promoting change and transformation in a lot of ways. So in this quick takes, I'm going to break down a couple of things. First and foremost, we're working with the vibration this week of the 13-4, which is an intense, strong, transformative energy within itself. But we're also working with the energies of the new moon solar eclipse that's occurring in the sign of Aries. And that's happening on March 29th. Also, we're working with the transition or the changing of signs of Neptune. Neptune on March 30th is moving from its sort of home sign where it feels really, really good of Pisces into the sign of Aries, where it will stay for around 14-ish years. I think it retrogrades back into Pisces later this year, but it's going to go full force into Aries, I believe, early next year, right around the same time that Saturn's going to be moving into Aries. So a lot happening. But I'm going to break down definitely the Neptune moving into Aries because there's a lot of potential change on the horizon with this transition, this transit. And also I want to spend some time on this eclipse. And then we'll talk about the 13-4. So first and foremost, let's talk about the eclipse. This eclipse really kind of, I would say it owns this week, but really with the transition of Neptune, I think there's just so much going on right now. There's a lot going on. Let's just leave it at that. So it's all these energies are sort of vying for our attention, and we'll be feeling it, and it will likely feel pretty chaotic this week, I would think. Might be very difficult to get your footing. Might be very difficult to see like what's truly happening. What are the facts? What's fiction? What where is it that someone's trying to manipulate or influence us? And where is something really, where do we take action from something that's really true for us? So I think it's going to be hard to make some very sound decisions this week. I think, again, we'll see a lot of confusion, and then we'll see a lot of clarity and a lot of breakthroughs in April. I think once we're in these energies, once we move through them, we're going to come out the other side, and it's going to become very clear, like what action to take, what was real, what wasn't real, what deserves our attention, what doesn't, et cetera, et cetera. So this week, be really gentle with yourself, and be gentle with others. There's going to likely be a lot of chaotic energy in the air vying for your attention. And I would say before you take any kind of action, before you make any kind of major life decision, just really, really, take some time for solitude, journal about it, go deeper, make sure that you feel aligned with whatever you are committing to this week. If you can avoid committing to anything significant this week, I would probably advise for that. But, sometimes life determines what we need to do. And so if you have to make a big decision, if you have to sign contracts, if you have to take some kind of high risk action, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure that you feel into it. Make sure it feels right for you. Do not be easily manipulated or coerced into making a decision that you may have buyer's remorse for down the road. All right, so let's take a quick look at this eclipse. So though this is happening at the end of the week, we've been kind of in these waters, since the last eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse that happened on the 14th. We're kind of in this weird energy of this sort of, in between the eclipses, right? We're fully in eclipse cycle, the eclipse season, and we're about to, again, hit this new moon solar eclipse. And so we're already feeling it. So even though it's happening at the end of the week, we're already in it. This eclipse that's happening on the 29th, this is going to be highlighting the energies of the 5. So again, every major energy we're working with this week has to do with change and transformation. So this eclipse, new moon, so new starts, new initiations, new beginnings in Aries, which is, self, it's my place in the world. It's how I take action. It's how I go for, my goals. It's how I assert myself. It's how I speak up for myself. It's, again, how I move through the world. So we have this eclipse, this new moon eclipse that's pushing us to take some kind of new beginning, new outlook, new actions. That's happening, or that's bringing about this energy of the 5, which is change, which is some kind of major shakeup, some kind of major transformation. And again, it's an eclipse, so we'll see these storylines start to unfold over the next, say, 6 months or so, or the coming year. And so it's not something that we'll necessarily see on the day, although we'll probably have a pretty good indication of what it is that will be unfolding within our lives and on the global stage. Very, very possible, especially because this eclipse is happening right next door to Neptune moving into Aries. So with this eclipse, again, major transformations, major shakeups. This is pushing us to be adaptable, not to sort of throw up the white flag and be like, well, there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to let the world move as it needs to move. No, this energy, though it requires us to be adaptable, so that we can move with the energy, so that we're not fighting it and trying to cling on to the old ways, so that we're not trying to cling to things that are clearly not working just because they've worked in the past. This is sort of like the hammer coming down to break us free from anything that has really been clouding our judgment, binding us, keeping us stuck, prohibiting us from moving forward in an elevated way and an evolutionary way. The 5 is about progressive thinking. It's about progressive actions. The 5 energy really is sort of ahead of its time. It's an energy that is the unmeasured genius. It can't be measured because it hasn't been done yet. But the vision is there. The idea is there. And the 5 energy helps us to capture that vision and then start to work towards it. So it is a progressive thinking type of energy. It is not about being stagnant. It is not about staying in old ways that are not working, that need to transform. So it's sort of like that energy of like the old world order falling away and the new world order getting ready to come in. It's that kind of energy when we're talking about 5 energy, but when we're talking about 5 energy coupled with an eclipse, that's a new moon solar eclipse, this is vitality, this is life, this is a massive push forward. And so we will likely be asked to see from a bigger perspective, see from an unconventional lens, and take actions from that unconventional lens that will be sort of much more evolutionary, much more evolved. This will likely cause disruption. It will very likely cause disruption, I would say over the next 6 months to a year. Because in order for, again, the old world order to fall away, and the old world order can be even in our individual lives, old belief systems that have kept us trapped, poor behaviors that have kept us trapped, whatever it is that's keeping us, just basically repeating history in some way, but with a different mask, right? This 5 energy brings in true change. And that true change can be incredibly uncomfortable as we're moving through it. Because again, it will disrupt where there needs to be disruption. So that we can see clearly, again, what hasn't been working. So that we can start to move in the direction of something much more progressive, potentially much more unconventional, that will open us up to our own personal and collective evolution. Very powerful energy. And the fact that it's happening again in the sign of Aries, which is at the very start of the wheel, right? And, in astrology, the astrological new year occurs with Aries season. So we are in this new astrological energy. And now we're having this solar eclipse, which again is like life and vitality and action, and it's that masculine energy. There will be disruption in our individual lives and on the global stage. But it's important to remember that the disruption is not where we need to put our focus. Where we need to put our focus is on the action that we will take from that disruption that will lead us towards something better, collectively and individually. So if we get hyper fixated on the disruption and what's falling away, and put our energy in trying to hold on to it and keep it, we're going to be, first of all, it's going to be a very uncomfortable ride. Second of all, we're going to be very frustrated with the outcome because it's going to fall away. Especially with all these energies at play, it is going to fall away. And it might look different than what we want it to look like. It might look different than how we had hoped it would look like. But it is for the highest good, not only of the planet, but each individual and collectively. And so where we put our energy during this time is what is going to determine the outcome and how we experience it. So in other words, if we can understand that the disruption that has to take place in order for the new to present, then we're not going to be so derailed by the disruption that we try to, again, put all of our energy into trying to put those pieces back together and trying to make it work. Because you can't make it work. If it's not working, you can't force it to work, especially if it's outdated, it's run its course. So instead of putting all your energy and effort into trying to keep things the same, this eclipse and this 5 energy is saying, let it go, let it fall away, and put your energy and your focus on how to rebuild something better, how to rebuild something that is of a higher octave, of a higher consciousness, more evolved. This is not an energy of going backwards. Let's put it that way. Now, we also, as I talked about, have Neptune moving into Aries on November 30th. And again, I believe that it retrogrades back into Pisces for a really short stint at the end of the year. But we're going to get a really good taste of what this energy shift is going to be about. And we will feel the energy shift because Neptune has been in Pisces for, I believe, 14 years-ish. And so this is a shift in energy. And we're going to feel that. And it's going to give us a really good indicator of what we're going to be working with. So just a general idea of Neptune and what Neptune sort of represents. Neptune is the collective consciousness, okay? In its higher octave. It is a collective consciousness. There's an emphasis with Neptune on social representation of the collective over the individual. Now, it's interesting because Neptune is moving into basically the sign of the individual, which is Aries. And so Neptune in Aries could highlight for us the individual, our place in the collective, and the importance of our individual actions, and the actions that we take, and the effect that those actions have on the collective, because it does have a ripple effect. Our words, our actions have a ripple effect out into the whole, because energetically, we are all connected. Physically, very different. Energetically, we're all connected. And so, when we're talking about numerology and astrology, we're basically talking about energy. So energetically, we are all connected. And so Neptune in Aries, I think, is going to bring in, or sort of force us to face and realize the impact of our own individual actions on each other and on the collective and on the planet, right? Because the planet itself is also an energy. It's a sentient living being, and we are its consciousness. Anyway, so very significant Neptune moving into Aries at this specific time in history. And Neptune only moves into a house, I believe it's like every 120 something years, right? Because it's like it spends about 14 years in each house. So very, very significant. We'll never see this again in our lifetime. Very, very significant. Neptune also brings in the intuition and higher guidance, connecting us to our soul. Yes, we are having a human experience, but this energy reminds us that, that our soul is in the driver's seat and is meant to lead us in this human experience. It's not meant to be led by ego, although ego plays an important role, of course. This energy of Neptune also amplifies ideas that transcend the literal, connecting us to more mystical side of things, to higher consciousness, etc. Also brings into light compassion and value and worth. Also brings in regeneration, or the opportunity for regeneration and change towards a more spiritual foundation. And I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about spirituality. And there is a difference. So, this energy is bringing us more in line with a more spiritual foundation. And again, energetically, that is a unifying energy that brings us together because we are all one energetically. I would say over the next 14 years, be very careful about false prophets, manipulation, control, whether that's from the spiritual community or from, a religion or something like that, or someone who's pushing an agenda backed by spirituality or religion. This is a time where the rose-colored glasses can be on, and that manipulation can occur really, really easily with Neptune and Aries. So be mindful of that. Critical thinking is going to be really, really important. Don't be easily influenced or persuaded. Critical thinking. Be mindful of what you say yes to and what you say no to. Now, Neptune specifically into Aries brings clarity, or has the potential to bring clarity, has the potential to bring more motivation, a sense of self-worth, ambition to move towards something better, more idealism for all, not just self. So how can we create a better world for all, not just myself? And it really kind of sort of connects beautifully, I think, with Pluto and Aquarius, because Aquarius is an energy that is very much similar to 5 energy. It's for the people. It's not about individualization. It's about all. It's about for the people. Neptune in Aries, again, kind of puts the emphasis, I believe, on our individual actions that can move us towards something better for all, not just self, where we can step into greater hope and optimism and idealism while staying sort of rooted in reality. And that's going to be key. So the potential, especially with Neptune and Aries over the next 14 years for this, and also let me back up. It's interesting, but it's not surprising that we have at this time in history, Neptune moving into Aries and highlighting everything I just talked about. And we also have Pluto in Aquarius, which Pluto went into Aquarius November 19th, I think, last year, 2024, and will be in Aquarius for like 18 years or something. So in conjunction with Neptune and Aries. And Pluto is all about death, transformation, rebirth, and transforming something into something much more elevated, much more evolutionary. Okay? Do you see the road that we are on over the next couple of decades? Very powerful stuff. But while we're moving through it, it's going to feel really likely challenging, confusing at times, hard to get your bearing, hard to figure out what's the next step, etc. But when we can bring it back to our intuition and move towards what we know to be right and good, man, what we have the potential to create in this world over the next 20 years is ridiculous. Ridiculously just profound. I just cannot even wrap my head around it. What a time to be alive, y'all. What a time to be alive and to be a part of this movement, this energy. It's up to us what we choose to do with it. And it can certainly be used for not so good things. But I think the opposition is much more powerful. There's a lot of good we can do in the next 20 years. A lot of good collectively. Whew. Okay. And now if we look at the energy of this week, also very interesting. Again, we're working with the vibration of the 13-4. 13-4 energy is basically like Pluto energy. So it's death, transformation, rebirth. Something being dismantled in order to build something better. This is an energy that reminds us that we are the creative visionary of our lives. We are the creative. And we are the visionary of our own lives. It's up to us to, again, create a better world through our personal actions. It's our responsibility to do that. We can't wait for somebody else to do it for us. It's our responsibility to do that. The 13-4 promises destruction. It promises to dismantle. It promises a certain kind of death. Right? Metaphorically speaking. And that death is that disruption, that catalyst, that falling away that prompts us to want to build something better. Why would we want to build something exactly the same? Why would we want to go backwards? We don't. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for the sustainability and the evolutionary process of our species. Does not make sense. The whole point of life is to continue to evolve and to grow and to expand. And the 13-4 helps to clean up what's not working, get rid of it, create the sort of baseline so that we can build something better. But it's because that energy of the 1, right, 13, that energy of the 1 brings in that Aries energy of the individual, the I, the ego, the action, right? Asserting ourselves, having the vision, going after that vision, not being easily dissuaded, or easily deterred, and moving towards something that feels good, feels aligned, and that is moving us towards building something better. So do I think we're going to get a handle on and a grasp of everything that's to come this week? No. I think this week is going to, like I said, feel really chaotic, feel like pretty topsy-turvy, could be a lot of dismantling this week and disruption of belief systems, of just a lot going on. And that will likely continue for a little while, right? But we're going to start to see very clearly like the road that we need to take, the actions we need to take, the movements that need to happen in order to create something better. And we're responsible for that individually, because what we do individually affects the collective. And so I'm going to leave this, I'm going to close this out with just talking about the 13-4 and the lotus flower, because this is something that I always talk about with the 13-4, and I think it's a really beautiful metaphor. With the 13-4, one of the keynotes of this energy, whether you have this as a life path, whether you have this in a strong placement within your numerology report, or whether it's a cycle, the keynote of this energy can be summed up in these words: to build something beautiful from something not so beautiful. And when I use the example of the lotus flower, it's to illustrate that the 13-4 energy is the creative visionary. It's the one who wants to build something of a resource, sustainable, solid, useful, from something, that's none of those things. And so if you think about the lotus flower, let's imagine you see a patch of mud and you say, I want to build something really beautiful there. I can see it. And people are like, oh, you're nuts. You're crazy. What are you talking about? That's just mud. You can't build anything there. But you see it, and you hold that vision. And so you get your seeds and you plant those seeds and you nurture those seeds. And it takes a lot of time because we're talking about 4 energy, and nothing happens quickly with 4 energy because we're building something, remember? And so we plant the seeds, we nurture, water, nurture. And eventually, many moons later, we start to see growth. We start to see the sprouts. And we tell everybody, look, the sprouts, but they're still just sprouts in this ugly pile of dirt and mud. And they're like, yeah, great, good for you. But, what is it really? But you hold the vision, and you persevere, and you overcome the obstacles and the challenges, and you keep going. And eventually comes the day that those flowers bloom. And then people walk by and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. What a beautiful garden. Oh, how gorgeous. I don't think this was here before. Was it here before? And you're like, no, I built this. And it transforms not only that space that other people saw as wasteland, but it transforms people's minds as well, their beliefs, their ability to see the potential in something, especially something that is ugly and not quote unquote good. That's the power of the 13-4. And that is power to inspire people, to uplift and empower people through maintaining that vision, holding that vision, persevering to create that vision, and to create something beautiful from something not so beautiful. There's going to be a lot of things, especially this year and next year, that are ugly, that are not good, that are difficult. Our job individually is to find ways to make it good, to turn it around, to create something powerful, beautiful, uplifting, and inspiring in that space. And humans have the power to do that. And I'll tell you, though there is the ugliness in the world, I believe there's just as much, if not more, beauty in the world. And we just have to remember that. So don't lose sight of your power, because you're going to need that to step up to this moment and to remember that your individual actions affect the whole. So make sure that the actions that you're taking are the actions that feel good and are moving you towards creating something beautiful from something not so beautiful. Very powerful week, very powerful month. Next month, I think, is going to be just wild. I would definitely say, and I've said this before, I'm sure most of you probably do have an astrologer that you follow, that you like. If you don't, find one. This year, next year are just monumental. We have, again, Neptune moving into Aries. We have Uranus moving into Gemini. We have Saturn early next year moving into Aries. So many powerful transits and placements that you're going to want a astrologer to not only kind of break it down for you, but also let you know how it's affecting you through watching, I would say, your rising sign. Just a lot going on, y'all. A lot going on. But I love it. I love it because you know what? It brings the power back to the people. It brings the power back to the all. And it's a beautiful reminder, not only of, again, our place in the world and the importance of that place, but how it affects the all. So, yeah. All right. Appreciate you all. Take care. I hope it's a great week. Bye for now.